You're it.
Okay, welcome everybody. I guess typically we'll go around and introduce ourselves. I know we did this a few weeks ago, but always good to refresh. I'm Josh Burgoon. I teach high school history, world and American to juniors and sophomores at Bishop Ward High School in Kansas City, Kansas.
I'm Brian Adams. I teach sixth grade language arts at Eisenhower Middle School in Topeka, Kansas.
My name is Jean Chen. I teach at two private schools in Wichita, Kansas, and I teach Chinese and ESL K-12.
Wonderful. So I guess I'll go first. This week's assignment was to look over a number of different kind of structures for students, most of which are focused on kind of their pathway, or at least in my viewpoint, their pathways through their education. I chose to utilize the platform Individual Plans of Study, and I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen with everybody now. That way we can take a peek at my slideshow here. I won't, again, go through all of it, but just want to kind of give you guys a brief understanding in the event that you didn't get to this particular platform in your research. So an individual plan of study is a kind of a support system. It's a product that kind of brings everybody together. It brings the counselors, it brings the teachers, it brings the families and the students all together to kind of create this plan or pathway for students at an early age. It really helps students define their goals and really kind of helps set into motion a lot of the things that they are going to need in order to be successful in a post-secondary world. So whether that be post-secondary education, like a college or a trade school, or if they go straight into the workforce, there are individual plans of study to help students really make sure that they're maximizing their efforts and the resources at hand that they have as they're going through their educational career. So what does an ISP look like? You're really gathering information that's specific to each student, the families, the counselors, again, the teachers. They kind of all sit in to kind of help create these ISPs. And so, it's going to have the following information: skills, hobbies, accomplishments, graduation requirements. This is a big one. To be able to say, here's what I need to graduate, here's the requirements. What's it going to look like for me to get there? All of this is a compilation of the student's basically entire academic life. But it also brings in a lot of the things that students enjoy, that students are good at, and it starts to define for them what sort of things they should be doing in kind of after secondary education, after high school. So using that ISP to kind of explore themselves, to develop their own ability to identify what they're good at, maybe what they're not so good at, understanding what careers might be out there for them, and then afterwards kind of planning how to go and achieve the goals or career plan that they make for themselves. Again, ISPs are created by a whole host of different people, and really the best way to use them is to continue to update them. Obviously, children change over the course of their academic careers, and so really understanding that maybe what the plan said 4 years ago might change as that student grows and understands and learns more. Students with interventions, this is really an ISP is really for all people. It's not something that just individuals with learning disabilities need or this is for our high learners, this is for our low learners. Basically, it really doesn't have much to do with the abilities of the student. What it does is it takes kind of an inventory of the abilities and the skills and the likes and dislikes to really determine kind of what the best course of action is going to be for that student moving forward. And at this time, we don't really have anything in our building that is ISP specific. We don't really use the terms, individual, specialized plans or anything like that. We don't use that language, but we do have a wonderful guidance counselor who has a program for our juniors and seniors to really start to gather the information about what their post-secondary career or path is going to look like, and then gives them the tools and resources to be able to figure out exactly how to achieve their goals. Because we're in a low socioeconomic area, cost is a huge issue for many of our families looking at a post-secondary career. And so part of this is also finding resources, scholarships, and money out there that they would qualify for so that they can achieve the goals of a post-secondary career. So, and then kind of what questions I had kind of after my initial research, I really looked hard through a lot of the resources that Kansas provides, and it seemed like Kansas as a state, or the Kansas Board of Education, really is pushing hard for this ISP platform. They really want this to push this, for all schools. So I'd be interested to hear from both of you whether or not your schools or you use these terms, if your schools have them. But if this is a regular part of our state's education system, is this just something as simple as the typing or cursive skills that we learned when we were in grade school, that these ISPs begin to take shape and form in that time frame. So, and then my resources again, most coming from that KSDE website. So appreciate you listening to me. I'll go ahead and stop my share. And if you guys have any questions, I'd really love to kind of pick your brains to see if you guys have ISPs or IPSs at your school, and whether or not you guys use them.
At my school, I'm very familiar with GEIs and IEPs, but ISP, you actually gave me more information than I'd ever had. It's not something we're familiar with individualized learning plans, but that's more in the form of an IEP. So this is new to me. So that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in the school district, but it's not something I'm familiar with that my middle school does.
Josh, I have a question. What's the difference of IEP and ISP? It sounds like there's a difference, but one is for special need learners, one is for just general for their career development. Is that right?
Yeah. So going into this, I thought that this was going to be, so, you hear kind of IPS, ISP, your mind kind of gravitates to IEP, right? That's kind of one of the terms that we hear most often, especially surrounding our kids that need that additional resource. So I went into it to do the research on this and thought that, okay, this is going to be some kind of adjoining subject, with our lower, learners. Come to find out, this really is a platform for everybody. It's for kids that are on IEPs. It's for kids that are, high education or high aspiration learners. It's really for everybody. Basically, if you boiled it down to brass tacks, what it is it's putting your foot in the pool early on, to what's college or my career going to look like after I graduate from high school. And the interesting part about this is this isn't just, in fact, they don't recommend you start in high school. They recommend you start in the middle schools, so that you can put together these plans. And to kind of give you an example of what one might look like in, for a student, if you have a student, say, that's in, your class, Brian, where, he's really showing a lot of aptitude for language arts. He's really showing the ability to creatively write or to read, what have you. An ISP or an IPS for him might, if that student is really interested in the language arts, it might look like, okay, hey, let's, with some of our flexibility in the education system to take things like extracurriculars and these kind of fringe classes, let's really focus on kind of growing that skill of reading and writing, or really kind of flower that ability. And then in doing that, you're putting together a plan. So, here's a high school in our area that really, has a great language arts program. Okay, they've got one of the best teachers, or they've got, a great language arts club, or there's certain resources that this school has that this school doesn't, that would help you as a student who's interested in the language arts and has a skill or a talent for language arts, so that you're making an active choice that, okay, this school is the one that I'm going to try to attend, so that I can make use of those resources. And then as you grow that skill, you're taking classes to help, so that your course schedule kind of reflects your IPS. And then post-secondary, if it's something that you wanted to go to college to become a creative writer or a novelist or something like that, you would then again choose your school or choose your surroundings based on, this plan that's been put in place for this kind of skill or talent or something that they enjoy. Does that kind of clear things up a little bit?
Yes.
It was all really interesting that it started so soon, especially because I remember in 6th grade, I still wanted to be an NFL football player, dressed up like one for Halloween. So it's very interesting that they would start that young, but it makes sense because the ISPs are supposed to grow with the student. So as they get smarter, learn more, and they kind of grow academically, so does their plan, of action.
I saw in one of your first or second, one of your early slides, it said it looks at the students' hobbies and their current skills, and I kind of like that, how it sounds like it helps modify the learning plan based on what they already are interested in. And so that's really interesting because, you mentioned language arts. I don't know any middle schooler who loves language arts, but science and math, if they already excel at it, and if that's already a personal interest, then that's something that, if the learning plan is designed around that, then that's something that could help encourage the learning. I mean, that's the program sounds really interesting. I'm now more curious to know if my district does anything similar to that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was very interesting to me as well, to know, that everything is kind of mapped out in a certain way. And I really think I would be very interested to know, to see, more research done around this, to really follow and track, a bulk of students or a group of students that go through this plan, to see what their success rates are like in that post-secondary world. Because I can only speak from my experience, but, I was definitely one of the kids that, found a love for education in high school. I don't know that I had that in grade school. But I was one of the few in my graduating class that knew kind of what they wanted to do entering college, and was able to make some, academic decisions based on that, kind of knowing that. So if you give more kids the knowledge, or at least the resources to be able to go find what it is that they might want to do, you probably lessen the number of high school kids that graduate and they're just like, I really don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And some of them go to college and they start taking gen eds, and it's like, this isn't fun, and they're not able to really have a goal in mind. There's no, carrot at the end of the stick, so to speak, for them, because they don't know what it is. So they either end up, majoring in something that, isn't as useful as it could be, or potentially, something that, they major and they get into the workforce and they realize that this really isn't all it cracked up to be, and then they get out of it. So I think the research would be really interesting to follow kids and see what success rates are versus kids that don't go through this program.
Very good.
Before we move on, how's our time? I know that these free Zooms are limited.
Yeah, we still have time.
Okay. Yeah, I'll shut up now so that everybody else can go. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Go ahead. You seem to be ready.
I got into this model called SIOP, Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, because I teach ESL, also Chinese, and so I thought this is about the language, so I dig into it. So this is what I found out. So SIOP provides like a framework for organizing instructional practices to best effectively teaching second and foreign language learners. But at the same time, helping students learn their subject areas like science, art, and math, literature, also help students develop the language, the target language. So this is a context where the SIOP model is used to immigrant students and bilingual students who are learning the content through a foreign language, and students English as a foreign language for learning the professional content in English through English for specific purposes. So it basically focus on the lesson delivery. So the content, it says our meeting will end in 10 minutes. I'll do quickly. So content, objective, supported language, objective, students engaged, also appropriate pacing. So it's pretty much the teacher give the content objectives, the language objectives to the students. So students are engaged, involved, knowing where the lesson lead to. So also the pacing helps students to go differently. So I found it's a very good strategy for real world application in the classroom. Gives students the purpose for their learning. So I'm going to stop here so Brian can have some time, but also I see that those models are really helpful for students to take their learning into heart, to like not just now but for the future. I like Josh's model and this model, so I see very practical for us to implement into our teaching. Brian, are you ready?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and dive into mine. Mine is on Avid, and let me share my screen here. Wait, what am I doing?
Yeah, I also went to a workshop organized by Coke. It's almost like what what Josh was sharing, to see what's the market is requiring, what type of students outcome it requires. So that ties with your sharing, Josh. But Brian, is all yours.
Okay. So Avid is a, well, let's just say the website keeps saying that it's more than just a college prep course. But in all my research, that's exactly what it is. It's a college prep course. And it's on the video that was part of our class, there was a principal, a high school principal, and I really like what he said. The AVID was more of a mindset. It's not just a set of classes or a set of skills. It's a mindset. It's a culture of success. It's a culture of hard work, and it's a culture of expectation. I really like that, so I added that to my slide. In our school, it is an elective class that's designed to be the next step for 8th graders after they may have been in honors classes up until now. So honors math, honors language arts, and it is that 8th grade getting ready for high school. AVID does exist in the middle, in grade schools, usually in upper grade schools, 4th and 5th grade, and it also exists in high schools. But of course, I'm in a middle school, so I focused on that. And it's basically things like test prep, study strategy, how to take notes, how to research, just basic skills that students need to know before hitting high school and college. I was hoping to have a chance to have a kind of a sit-down conversation with one of our AVID teachers, but that had to be canceled at the last minute. So hopefully I get to talk to him maybe tomorrow or so, so I could add some more information to the slide. I did find some information on the AVID website, and I haven't quite polished this yet. And most of what I found was very, let's just say, promotional. They're trying to promote their own product. AVID is closing the opportunity gap for, well, I can't read it if my face is in the way. In college graduation rates among diverse and underrepresented demographic groups. One of the things I was hoping to get from our AVID instructor is maybe some statistics. I know that my middle school is in a lower income area, and that I think we have a less than 50% rate of students that later go on to college. So, so focusing on those students that have qualified for honors and have shown the most success and possibly going on to college, this helps prepare them even further to avoid the dropout rate, because if you're not prepared for college, those first couple semesters can really kill you. It also, not every teacher is qualified to teach AVID. I know that the rigor is a lot tougher. Me as a second-year teacher, I know that I would not qualify for AVID anytime soon, because my class can be a bit of a mess. But the classes are very structured, but they're almost more student-led. So it's not like let's just say it's not just a lecture class. It's students actually working together and helping build their own skills. So when high school and college do come up, those skills are internalized. They're not just something that was thrown at them by a teacher. And I really like that. It's just more student-centric, as the slide says.
Very effective, sounds like.
You know, I'm told that, you know, our school is very proud of its AVID program, has found great success with it. I don't, like I said, I didn't get some statistics put together, but I am curious to know how students that move on with those AVID skills. And just on a personal note, I mean, I teach 6th grade language arts, and some of my students come to me not knowing how to put a paragraph together. And, you know, I could tell, and I know you both have different schools that you work at, that there are a lot of getting the middle school mindset to think about their own future very difficult, especially in a lower income setting. You know, I'm trying to talk about college, and there are some students not knowing where their next meal's coming from. So there's an entire mindset in my middle school that I have to get past. So like I said, so the students that are already identified as college bound, this is help adding those skills and getting them ready so they're not caught off guard once college hits.
I also see that all three shares, there's a common theme that students to student-centered learning. But I do have even I see my high school Chinese class, they're very good students, but to a point, I still need to give them a structure. Yeah, I try to push them to lead their own study, give them that SIOP model to let them know their goal. But you know, sometimes they just get lazy. they tend to yeah, and then so from time to time, I still need to give them that structure. So that's my take. But very good. Thank you for
Looks
sharing.
like we've got about a minute left. Any last thoughts? Well, thank you both for being here and sharing what you've learned. It was informative for me, so I appreciate that, learning what you guys had learned. So so I guess we'll sign off here, and then we'll get the video uploaded.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Have a good
Awesome.
day.
Good to see you guys again.
All
So
right, thank you.
the rest of the semester.
Yeah.
All right, good luck.
All right.
Bye-bye.